Georgia Northwestern Technical College wants to help put you to work. Our programs in business, health, industrial, and public service will train you for the jobs available today. GNTC offers schedules in day, evening, and online classes at 5 campus locations with financial aid options too. You are sure to find a career path that works for you with our variety of degrees, diplomas, and certificates available. Visit us in person or on the web at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Your career begins here.
Welcome to Gridiron season. It is the final week of the regular season, and we're going to walk you through it, talk a little bit about this week, and a little bit about the possible playoff situations. I'm your host, Jim Allred. As always, with me, Matt Davis, my partner in crime from 95.7 The Ridge. We're just going to get into this real quick. Of course, we had some big games last week. We'll kind of mix those in as we talk and go ahead. Our Murchie at Coosa. Of course, last week, Coosa lost to Darlington. Coosa will be the number 2 seed out of Region 7AA. We'll have a home playoff game next week. But first, the Indians are up. Matt, can the Indians get their first region win of the year against Coosa?
I personally don't think so. I think Coosa obviously has shown that they're really, really tough defensively. Even in last week's loss, their defense looked pretty good most of the game. They turned the ball over, and when you look back at that game, you can definitely blame some of the problems they had on the turnovers. For Murchie, they've struggled all year. Their defense has really struggled. They haven't been able to score points. Coosa, I think, is going to be a 3-touchdown favorite at the least. I think they could win this game by 30 points. And one of the things that people may mention is, well, can they get up for this game knowing that they've already got the number 2 seed and they've already got a home playoff game? When you're playing against a team that's in the same county that you are, you get up for that game. So I think Coosa gets the bragging rights in this one.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt there. I mean, Coosa may even rest some players up for this one, get ready for the playoffs. The way I look at it, when you look back at Coosa on the year, we talked about their turnover issues. They've had some, the first 2 losses of the year, they had lots of turnovers in those. They had 2 or 3 turnovers against Model, managed to survive that. 2 or 3 turnovers against Dade County, managed to survive that. But last week, could not survive the turnovers against Darlington, lost 14-0. That being said, a home playoff game for Coosa. Our Murchie is more than just a road bump. Our Murchie has gotten a lot better this season, but Coosa should be a heavy favorite in this game. I go with Coosa as well. Moving on to the newly crowned Region 7AA champions, and this one is very interesting because it's a rest game for Darlington and Chattooga. Chattooga getting into the playoffs by beating Dade County last week. They will have the number 4 seed and be on the road. Darlington, the number 1 seed, will be at home for at least, possibly the first 2 rounds if they keep winning, and then beyond that, we'll have to wait and see. Matt, can the Indians beat the Tigers?
I think there's a possibility that that could take place. I don't think it will happen. I think the Indians' best shot is if, since Darlington won the region championship and they were flying high last week, had this emotional win, very exciting, all that kind of thing, is if they come out flat in this game. Their coaching staff's not going to let them do that. I mean, they've been extremely consistent all year long. The times when they've come out kind of flat, they found a way to win games. They want to win every game they play in, and I think Darlington's going to show up for this game and be ready to play, and I think they'll win.
The Tigers have won 8 straight games. Their lone loss in the season opener against Murphy, North Carolina, up in North Carolina. And, of course, Murphy is the defending Class A state champs in North Carolina. Very good team there. I think this game could be closer than most people think. They both might be resting some people up. They're both going to be trying to work out the kinks before the playoffs start. The way I see it, though, is Darlington should win this game. The Battle of Polk County, and this one has some playoff implications, major playoff implications for both teams. Cedartown at Rockmart. Matt, who wins?
This one was one of the tougher ones for me to pick. When I look at these teams, they both struggled on the defensive side of the ball. Cedartown giving up around 32 points a game, something like that. And then Rockmart, they've been giving up, I think, about 37 or so. So their defenses both struggled. Cedartown offensively, maybe not quite as good as Rockmart, but I think they're kind of in the same realm, so to speak. So at the end of the day, I flipped the coin and it landed on Cedartown.
Gotcha. This one, again, I'm going to agree with Matt. This is a tough game to pick. Rockmart comes into this game controlling its destiny. If they beat Cedartown, they are the number 3 seed in Region 5 AAA. At number 3, that means they will be going to Adairsville in the first round of the playoffs. Cedartown, after the loss to Pepperell last week, has to win this game. If Cedartown loses this game, they are out of the playoffs. If Cedartown wins this game and Pepperell beats Haralson County, you will have a 3-way tie for 3rd and 4th. I'm not so sure what the tiebreakers are. We'll be talking about that next week if it actually happens. Matt goes with Cedartown. It's at Rockmart. Rockmart, I mean, both teams have a lot on this line, but I think Rockmart really, really wants that number 3 seed and to play at Daresville because the number 4 seed has to travel to Calhoun and play them in the first round of the playoffs. Neither of those are easy opponents, but if you're going to ask me, I'd rather play at Daresville than Calhoun any day of the week. I'm going to go with Rockmart in this game. Another Region 5 AAA game that's of import. Haralson County is at Pepperell. Pepperell got its first region win of the year last week against Cedartown. If they beat Haralson County, they're putting themselves right in line for the playoffs. Pepperell has to win this game. Haralson County is not a particularly good team. I'm going to go with the Dragons in this one. And we'll see, obviously, if Pepperell ends up with the number 4 seed. I've already said the number 4 seed will go play Calhoun in the first round of the playoffs. Pepperell's familiar with Calhoun. They've been in 7AA together for many years before this year. Matt, did the Dragons win?
I think so. This one's pretty cut and dry. You know, Haralson County this year, they give up typically over 40 points a game. And when you're doing that, you're not going to win too many football games. Pepperell, on the other hand, they've struggled, but I still think they're a better team than Haralson County. This game at Pepperell, I think Pepperell shouldn't have any issues.
I think this is also a game where you could see Devin Collins really shine for the Dragons. Collins, I think he kind of flew under the radar last week, had almost 300 yards rushing. I also think he had an interception return or a fumble return for a touchdown on defense. So, you know, Collins and the Dragons, I think, are going to have a big game against Haralson County. One last game before the commercial break, Adairsville at Gordon Central. Adairsville has already locked up the number 2 seed from Region 6 AAA, meaning they will be at home the first round of the playoffs. Obviously, their playoff opponent will either be Rockmart, Pepperell, or Cedartown. Gordon Central, they have 1 win on the season. The Warriors, that's 1 more win than they had last year. Unfortunately, I think that's how they're going to finish, Matt. I'm picking Adairsville. Matt, any differences?
Nah, not a difference there. Like you mentioned, the 1 win, that was over Coahuila Creek. They had 2 close games other than that. That was Lafayette and LFO. This team's really struggling. They're maybe getting a little bit better, but not good enough to beat Adairsville. Adairsville's a very, very tough football team.
The Tigers are a tough football team, and I've been saying from early in the season, I think the Tigers can make a lot of noise in those Class AAA playoffs. We'll know a lot more about those brackets and do a complete breakdown of those in next week's show, but Adairsville fans, be happy because I think your team can go a couple, 2, 3, maybe even 4 rounds into the AAA state playoffs. After the commercial break, we're going to break down 5 more games. Stick around.
Georgia Northwestern Technical College wants to help put you to work. Our programs in business, health, industrial, and public service will train you for the jobs available today. GNTC offers schedules in day, evening, and online classes at 5 campus locations with financial aid options too. You are sure to find a career path that works for you with our variety of degrees, diplomas, and certificates available. Visit us in person or on the web at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College, your career begins here.
Welcome back to the show. As always, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Georgia Northwestern Technical College, for helping bring the Emmy-nominated Gridiron Central to you for the last 8 seasons. Another game from Region 6 AAA showing the 14 consecutive region champion, Calhoun, traveling to Coahuila Creek. Look, it's not going to be a game. Coahuila Creek is not in the same league. They're in the same region, but they're not in the same league with Calhoun. The Yellow Jackets are going to win this one going away. They will have an undefeated regular season. This will be their 5th undefeated regular season in the last 6 seasons. And you heard it here. I mean, not like it's a big surprise. Calhoun is going to at least make the semis, if not the finals in AAA, and could even win this AAA state title. Wow, I'm already predicting that kind of stuff. Anyway, Matt, can the Creek upset Calhoun?
No. Coahuila Creek has been shut out 6 times this season already. I think that if you lived in Alaska and you knew nothing about our area in terms of football, you could look at this one on paper and make a pretty sound decision. So I'm going to go with Calhoun easily. They'll win this game by probably 40 points.
I'm telling you what, I'm not so sure Alaskans care that much about high school football in Northwest Georgia. But moving on, Sonoraville at Murray County.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100% positive. We need to call some up.
What else do they have to do?
Ice fish? I don't know. No, never been there. Sonoraville at Murray County. The Phoenix, with a win, can clinch that number 4 seed from Region 6 AAA. That will put them on the road in the first round of the AAA playoffs, but it would put them in the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive year. Sonoraville's a very good. Sonoraville's a solid team this year. They should beat Murray County. I think the Phoenix win, go to the playoffs. Matt?
I tip my cap to Murray County because even though their record doesn't necessarily reflect it, I think it's pretty obvious that they've gotten better. And one of the reasons I say that is they've had 4 games this year where they've scored 20 or more points.
Yeah.
When's the last time a Murray County team has been able to accomplish that? I can't remember. It's been a long time. So they're getting better. But Sonoraville's got a pretty stout offense. Their defense leaves a little bit to be desired, but there's no question in my mind that offense is going to be cranked up and they'll be able to score plenty of points in this game.
Moving on, Rome at North Springs. The Wolves, of course, have been eliminated from playoff contention in Class 5A. They're facing a North Springs team that has I think the exact same record as Rome does, maybe one more win, I'm not sure. Look, this game is for pride. You know, Rome's only got 2 wins on this season. They want to get that 3rd win. They want to send their seniors out on a winning note. It's on the road at North Springs. It's tough because these 2 teams, I don't think they've ever played each other before. The way I look at it is, I think Rome's offense can get there. The biggest question mark, and we've been saying it all year, you can sing along with me if you want to. How many times is Rome going to turn the ball over? If Rome cannot turn, if Rome can keep from turning the ball over 3 to 4 to 5 times, like unfortunately they've been doing in almost every game, they can win this game. I say the turnovers are limited. Rome wins. Matt?
I agree with you on this one. From 2009 to 2013, North Springs won 2 games out of those 5 seasons. This year, they've doubled that. They've won 2 games, and I know last week they beat North Atlanta in a close game, and unless I'm badly mistaken, North Atlanta, I think they've only won 1 game this year. They've really struggled, and so when I look at these 2 teams, even though their records are similar in that they both have 2 wins, I think Rome should be a much better team. And I think that when you talk about the pride situation, even though they're not playing for much except for pride, that means a lot when you've had the kind of season they've had. So I agree. The seniors want to go out on a high note. They'll be up for this game, and I don't think they'll have any problems. I think they'll win by 3 touchdowns.
I agree with you. Unity of Fullington Academy, and I can't remember if I corrected this last week. I don't think I found out until middle of the week, but Unity cannot make the GICAA playoffs this year. I had been talking about that this season. I did not realize it before the season started. The team took a vote. They had been put in a classification in GICAA that does not allow homeschool players to play. Of course, they had 2 seniors on the team. Coach Mark Ackerman put it to a team vote. You know, do we let the kids play knowing that we can't go to the playoffs, or do we not let them play, giving us a playoff opportunity? Unanimous decision. The kids get to finish their senior year playing for Unity, but they cannot make the playoffs. So Unity is playing for pride. It would be their 6th win of the season. When I talked to Coach Mark Ackerman in the summer, he was hoping for a 500 record. They've already got the 500 record. Now he and the Lions want to go out with a winning streak. They want to get their 6th win. They want to beat Fullington Academy. I think the game could be close. I've made the big build-up, and now I'm going to pick against them. That's great. I'm going to go with Fullington Academy on this one. I think they're going to be about 7 points better than the Lions, but the Lions continue to improve. It would not surprise me one bit if Ackerman's bunch wins their final game. Matt, what do you think?
I think Unity's talented enough to win this game, and this was one of those games like the Cedartown Rockmart game that I really had to think about before I made my pick. But I'll go ahead and tell you what my deciding factor ended up being. They got to go to Pinehurst, Georgia to play this game, and that is like below Perry. So that is a pretty darn far road trip for them to go and play this game. So these teams, I think, are fairly on an even playing field. I think definitely you got to give the home field advantage a nod in this one. So I'm going to go with Fullington Academy.
Definitely. And, of course, I also believe Unity is a talented team. They've gotten a lot better this year. Nothing against them, but I think Fullerton Academy, like I said, about 7 points better. One final game to talk about, and in all honesty, this is a playoff elimination game. St. Francis at Tryon. St. Francis currently tied for 16th in the Class A public school power rankings. Tryon, I can't remember if they're 20th or 21st, but they're 3 or 4 spots out of that need to be number 16 spot in the Class A public school power rankings. The winner of this game is not guaranteed the playoffs, but the winner of this game is probably in the playoffs. It's at Tryon. The Bulldogs have struggled of late. They did win last week to give them a chance to make the playoffs, but I think in the end, St. Francis is going to be too powerful in this one. St. Francis wins. What do you think, Matt?
I agree with you. You know, Tryon offensively has been really inconsistent this year, so much so that they've been shut out, I believe, 3 times on the season. So they've had some games where they just could not get in the end zone. St. Francis, on the other hand, they're averaging about 28 points per game. They've not been shut out. They've scored a good amount of points in every single one of their contests. I just think at this point in time they're a more consistent football team, and they'll be able to outscore Tryon.
Definitely. If you're keeping score at home, this is what the playoffs look like right now. In Region 6 AAA, Calhoun and Adairsville and Ringgold are in. More than likely, Sonoraville, if they win, they grab the number 4 seed. In Region 5 AAA, you're going to have Central and Callaway in spots 1 and 2. That will be determined this weekend. And then Cedartown, Rock Martin, Pepperell, depending on what happens Friday night, will grab spots 3 and 4. In 7AA, it's all over, but the last game right now, it doesn't matter. Darlington 1, Coosa 2, Model 3, Chattooga 4. That means Model and Chattooga on the road in the first round of the playoffs. Darlington and Coosa at home in the first round of the playoffs. Of course, Calhoun and Adairsville at home in the first round of the playoffs. If Sonoraville does make it as a 4, they will be on the road trying. You got to win and then cross the fingers and hope the power rankings in. Rome didn't make it in 5A. That's what we're going to look at with playoffs. Next week, we'll have the brackets. I'll tell you who's going to win a state championship, how far the teams will go, and then Matt may be the voice of reason and tell you who actually is going to do it. Anyway, still a great night of football coming up on Friday. Who y'all have on the radio?
We're going to have the Coosa-Armurchie game out of Coosa.
Gotcha. I'm going to be on the sideline of Pepperell-Haralson County. We'll see how all the games go. Of course, follow the game scoring live on RomeNewsTribune.com and PrepCentralOnline.com later in the evening. Articles and photos from all of the games that matter. And, of course, next week we'll break down the what time of the year is it? What are we breaking down, Matt?
Playoffs.
The playoffs. It's that time of year. It's been 11 long weeks. We have 1 week to go, and then the playoffs. For Jackson Witzel, I'm Jim Allred, and for Matt Davis. How can I forget him? How can I forget him? Matt Davis and Jim Allred, we'll see you on the sidelines.